and welcome to another episode of Redstart Cabin. This is a big episode because there's been so much going on. From the interior paint, which is 99% done, to hanging the doors, to the finished electrical work. The finished electrical work is the outlets are already in, the switches are in, and they're coming back tomorrow to install the lighting and the ceiling fans. So the drywallers put drywall over one of the outlets, and it was important because the line has to go through that outlet in order to enable all the other outlets in the series. So since the wall's already been painted, we're a little nervous. Used a stud finder and a line tracer electronically and guessed where the box was. And using that information, we tested it with a roll thin screwdriver and pushed in. If we hit the back of the box, that's where it was. And it was, we got it right. Cut it out. You can see he's wiring it up now, and we'll be back in business. The painting went really well. They were here for a long time. I'm gonna have a big update for you on paint, how we chose the colors, and what the process was like working with level 5 drywall, which is a little bit challenging. And we're also gonna talk about the doors, and they are kind of the final element of some of the acoustic treatment that we do in the house. And so the doors are in and installed, all but one. There's an error on one, and they're gonna be back tomorrow to finish that up as well. But we're gonna start with lighting. There are two kinds of lighting in the house. There's zero can lights, and that's important. I think can lighting is absolutely atrocious, can't stand it. I'm a photographer by trade. I'm always noticing the light. Light is what makes things look great or makes them look bad. And can lighting makes a lot of people look bad. When you have a light directly overhead, it casts deep shadows on your face. It accentuates wrinkles and age. If you want to look great, you want indirect lighting. That's why in a photography studio, you have these big, soft, white light sources. You have big bouncing boards that you bounce the light off of because you want a really soft, non-directional light. And can lighting is exactly the opposite of that. Can lighting also pierces the ceiling in a way that allows sound to transmit up into the attic and then down into another room. And since we're trying to acoustically separate, no can lighting for that reason as well. So everything's indirect. The interior and exteriors are wall sconces, and in this room, the great room, and in the primary bedroom, we're using a system called monopoints, which are a light that hangs down where you would normally install a can light. You install one of these, and you can aim it any direction you want. And you can use this to create really nice indirect lighting. In this room, the cabinets, that on top of the cabinets, are 4 large indirect monopoints that are going to point up at the ceiling to wash the ceiling in a bright light. So the ceiling becomes the light source. How much light do you need in a room like this? Well, it depends on how many lux you want on your work surfaces in the kitchen. We've got a couple of hanging pendants when you really want to beam it up, but for general indirect purposes. So I got some light tracing, ray tracing software, and ran the calcs on how many lumens, which is how much the output is from the light source, versus how much lux, which is how much of that light source hits the work surface. And you can calculate it all. You can take into effect the reflective value of that paint and how much of the light will be absorbed versus scattered. And I did all of that a long time ago, and we ended up with calculations and figured out exactly how many lumens we needed on every outlet, how many of them we needed up there, and what that would look like in the finished product. So I settled on this series. This is from Elco Lighting. This is called the Koto Sylos. And these are really cool because they come apart really easily and give you tons of flexibility inside each unit. It's not one size fits all, it's a system, and you can get what you want. One of the things that people care a lot about in lighting is color temperature. There is only one light anywhere in here that is a single fixed color temperature. All the other lights are variable temperature depending on whether they're fully up, fully bright, or dimming. And that's a feature that a lot of people call dim to warm. And so the color temperature changes when you dim it down. When you dim the lights in the evening, you want it to get a little bit warmer. Color temperature is measured in degrees Kelvin. And an incandescent light, the old standard that we all go to, is about 2800 degrees Kelvin. In contrast, a bright white light, like in the old days was fluorescent, and now it's just called bright white in the LED world, is about 5000 degrees Kelvin. Pure sunlight is 5600 degrees Kelvin if you're standing in the sunlight or measuring it when the sun is shining on a surface. If you're in the shade, it gets a lot higher color temperature, which means it's a lot cooler because it's the blue sky that's doing the illumination, and you've got a blue light source. So the color temperatures in there can get up to 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10,000 degrees Kelvin. But humans really like it around 4,000, 4,500, all the way down to about 2,500. So these systems from Elco allow you to pick where you are. There's two that do dim to warm. One is called Centric, and that starts at 4,400 degrees Kelvin and goes down to 2,200 degrees Kelvin. The other is called sunset dimming, and that starts at 3,500 degrees Kelvin and dims down to 1,800, which is very, very warm, almost candlelight in its effect. That's what we chose for almost all the lighting. We did use two Centric dim to warm systems for the primary bedroom closet area, so that you're seeing clothes in a little bit brighter white light. But everywhere else we're using the dim to warm. Now this wall behind me has actually not been painted, that's just primed, because that entire wall is being covered with a felt art installation. And that's going to be one of the light sources. We've got some hanging monopoints, 5 of them, that are going to wash that wall in light, and then we've got the ones over the cabinet that are going to wash the ceiling in light. And the combination of that will create a nice ambient, bouncy kind of a room. But those were tough to do the calculations on. Each one of these Kotos comes with 3 lenses. The lenses determine the width of the spread. The standard is 38 degrees. You can get 25 or you can get 60. Those are what come with it. You could also order other ones. For this wall wash, we're going to be using the 60-degree lens. We're also going to spread it even further so that each beam overlaps the one next to it with a thing called a linear spread lens, which goes on top of it. And it's really easy to change. You just open it up, no tools needed. You unscrew it, and you can pull out one lens and put in another. There we go. Okay, so this lens just comes out. This is the 38 degree. We'll replace this with the 60. And then we'll take this linear spread lens, put it on top of it, and then we're going to add one more thing. This is a hex louver. What this does is it makes all the light beams come straight out. Because our lights are hanging down and pointing sideways, if you look up and see it, we don't want the lights from the LED bouncing into your eyes and providing glare. We don't want that visual hotspot. And what a hex louver does is it eliminates that. It makes all the stuff come out the same direction, and from the side, you can't see into the LED light source. So that's going to be a lovely effect. For places where we want to be very, very tight with our focus, you can add a thing called a snoot. I love that name. And the snoot goes in and just extends out. So rather than a broad beam, and it reduces about 15% of the spread of the lens and makes it even tighter. And that also makes it almost impossible to see any glare at all. So we're going to be using this system everywhere, primary and here, and I'm going to be putting all these together today and labeling where they go. So tomorrow, when the electricians get here, they can just throw them up and be done with it. And that's what I'm doing today. We've done a lot of work with the dimmers. We're using the Lutron system here for dimming. And you know, Lutron costs a lot of money compared to just ordinary dimmers that you can buy. And the reason I went with the more expensive Lutron system, I think there's 2 reasons really. The first is that Lutron does not use Wi-Fi for all their smart enabling. And if you've got a smart plug at home, you know that every once in a while, and it might last 6 months or a year, but every once in a while, it just loses the mix. It's no longer on your Wi-Fi network, and your only alternative is to go over there, unplug it, and plug it back in again. It's rebooting the device, so it reattaches to your network and you can go get up and running. Lutron doesn't use Wi-Fi to talk to all of their switches and any other devices. It uses a radio system, and it's bulletproof. I have Lutron smart switches and Lutron devices in my other residence that's been running 4 years without a single reboot, without a single issue. They just work, and that's invaluable. And the other reason that we're going with Lutron systems is that LEDs, the dimmers that work with LED lighting, there's 2 styles. And one style is much cheaper to implement, and it'll work with, I don't know, somewhere around 50–60% of the LED lights out there. It depends on how the driver on the LED is designed electronically. And if you want a dimmer that'll work with everything, you're going to pay more for it. It's called ELV+. and whether you buy it from Lutron or somebody else, that is a significant upgrade. But it then becomes universally, it works universally with all LED light sources, regardless of how they were designed. If you have an LED pendant or any kind of a light at home, that when you dim it down, it oscillates, it goes up and down in terms of its brightness, or it hums, those kind of things. Upgrade your dimmer switch to an ELV plus dimmer switch, and that should solve the problem. Okay, with level 5 drywall, we knew we needed to pay attention to painting. So we talked to professional painters. They all said roughly the same thing. Don't try and do this yourself, it's too challenging. Use a special process to make touch-up easier, and use a high-quality paint. So we did all those things. We used Benjamin Moore. The special process is you spray the wall first, and then you roll it. And the reason you roll it is to introduce just a little bit of texture so that when you have to do touch-up later on, it doesn't show. If you have a perfectly flat wall and you scratch it, you paint the whole wall all over again. So we wanted just a little bit of texture. You can barely notice it. That worked out great for us. One wall in particular was a challenge. It reflects right off of the window. It's a big patio door and the wall's going right down next to it. And so you see the reflection. And the first time they did it, they rolled it and you could see vertical stripes on the reflection. Couldn't see it when you looked at it face on, but edge on with that bright light on the side of it, you could definitely see it. So again and again and again, it took them 6 times until it was perfectly flat and you don't notice anything at all. They are very dedicated, they're working and doing a good job. Okay, so then we've got the paint process, we've got the painter selected. What about colors? And that's a challenge. We were really at a loss. We've got in the great room in particular a challenge of a very, very vibrant, colorful wool felt art installation. And how do you deal with that in how you paint the rest of the room? We typically like some color in the room, but there's so much on the wall already. So I wanted to get some professional advice, and it turns out interior designers are not the right resource for this. They care a lot about furniture, not a lot about color and paint. There's a special category. Color consultants will help you with this. And it turns out that Benjamin Moore offers a really good color consultant program for 50 bucks. It's all online, it's a Zoom call, and you submit all your materials in advance, and you get 30 minutes with a color specialist to talk about your room. And we ended up talking about more than one room in our 30 minutes, but that's the general idea. And one of the things they want you to submit is photos of the space, photos of any colors that you like or don't like, an inspiration board if you have one, which we did. This is our inspiration board. This is a ponderosa pine, very common in this forest. It's got these different terracotta hues in it, and it's got this dark gray brown. And also this is part of our inspiration board. This is an alligator juniper. It's got this gorgeous gray-green, and they call it an alligator juniper because the bark looks like the skin of an alligator. So that's our inspiration board. And then we sent the floors, which we knew were another dominant element because they've got those white marble chips in them and they've got the exposed aggregate. It turns out the floors were key. Once we decided what to do in the great room, don't compete with it at all, do Swiss coffee on the walls, do Chantilly lace on the ceiling. The ceiling is great. Chantilly lace is the whitest white they have. It reflects over 90% of the light that beams on it. And since we're using indirect lighting, that's very helpful. So the rest of the rooms, we wanted to introduce some color into the studio and also into the primary bedroom. So for the studio, she recommended we work with this part of our inspiration board, but pulling in the concrete. And the concrete was a key thing to have brought into the mix. And she said, if the concrete has those colors in it, it has all the local aggregate, the rocks that are found on the ground, there's your natural colors right there. If you use those colors in the walls, it'll feel cohesive, it'll be a design that works. So we did, we pulled out, there were a number of aggregate pieces that were common in this color. We pulled that out for the walls. And there was a grayish, greenish one that's very close to this that we used in the primary bedroom. Then you have a question of what do you paint this color? There's a new trend, well, it's not that new anymore, it's kind of dominating, it's called color drenching. Color drenching is when you apply the same color everywhere. Trim, ceiling, walls, everything is that one color. Now, we don't have any trim, it's just ceiling and walls, but it is a trend. And one of the effects of that is it makes the room feel smaller, and you want that in a cozy space, but in the studio we want it to feel bigger. So we went with the traditional white ceiling and colored walls. But we did want a little bit more, zip it up a bit. So we have an accent wall. If you take the color palette, it has like, light, medium dark, and dark. And you use that to choose your colors, and you stay on that one card. We used medium for the walls and medium dark for one accent wall, which is the wall you see when you walk into the room. It looks great. For the other room, we used this juniper gray. We did the same thing. We just put it on the walls, and we did the same white ceiling. So the colors are done. The guys have been here for about 10 days. They've been working and working and working. We're down to the tiny punch list items. There's little pieces of blue tape all over the house, a little bit of sand, a little bit of putty, a little bit of retouch, and hopefully we'll finish up this afternoon. The door guys are coming today. They're going to install all the interior doors. They'll probably scratch something, so the painters are going to come back one more time to finish up and get everything looking perfect. Super happy about it. So Miguel came and hung all the doors. And hanging the doors is simple, but it sure makes a big difference in the way that the house feels. We also got to see the automatic door sweeps in operation, getting them cut to size and installed, and then fine-tuning them when they went in. It was really fun. The best part about the automatic door sweeps is it completes the acoustic seal. And so for the first time, we can actually see whether all that work we did for acoustics really paid off. Okay, in a perfectly quiet room, we have about 35 decibels. When I'm talking, it gets up to about 70. But let's turn on some loud music. Almost too loud to talk over. Let's see what acoustic doors do. That's one door. You can barely hear it. Okay, we're almost done with lighting. The exterior lights are installed and turned on, and these have a cool story, as most of the lights do. Sonneman Lighting, which is a high-end LED architectural light manufacturer, had a special sale closing out their old catalog about a year ago. And I went crazy shopping. So like those sconces were $1,100 a piece. At 90% off, they were $110. They're perfect in that they fit the vibe of the place. I really like that the tops are rounded so that they don't catch pine needles and again create that fire hazard right up against the structure. The problem was they were white, so I took them apart and painted them. We got similar deals on the inside of the house. We have very large LED sconces in the studio and the guest bedroom. We even put one up on the ceiling in the primary bath. Those were also 90% off. The small lights that we have in the hallway were 90% off. Even the dining room pendant, which is made of felt, which will match the architectural felt on the other side of the room, came at a 90% discount. You know, you shop at the right time of year, and I was watching when I saw those deals come across. I spent some money. What we didn't get any discount on were the mono points that are all over the house. Those we paid full boat for. We also got the ceiling fans installed, and those are really nice. They are DC motors, so they're quiet. They have a good remote control. I hope to be able to integrate it into my automation system so that you can control them from wherever. But because they're integral to the radiant system, they need to be bi-directional, and you need to be able to change their direction remotely with a remote control or a switch somewhere. And those do that. And the reason for that is that radiant heating, the heat on the floor works really great, it just naturally rises. But radiant cooling, the cold all stays down on the floor and you want to distribute it through the room. So you want to have the fans exhausting the air up and around the room in that kind of a pattern. Whereas in the summertime when you want to cool down, and you're just using the fans for cooling, you want the draft to come down so that you get the effect of having a breeze. So when we're running the cooling on the floor, we're gonna reverse the flow of the ceiling fans and pull them up. They're all very simple. They match the vibe as well. Okay, here we are in the great room. We have most of the shutters closed. There is one that's not operable yet. It was missing a component in the switch, so that'll be up and running next week. But with just one window open, you really get a sense of what the lighting looks like in here at night. On the right, you've got the dining room pendant. You've got ceiling wash just coming off on top of the cabinets. You have the two pendants hanging down over the island, or what will be the island, and then one over the sink. And of course, the dining room pendant that helps define the space. And on the other side of the room, we have a lot of lights on the ceiling. We have the 5 wall wash lights that's going to be shining on the felt. And then we have 3 other lights creating pools of light on the ground. One of those pools is about where the recliner will go, and the other 2 are at either end of the couch. Those are reading lights. Okay, primary bedroom. This room has the Sonneman light, the oversized wall sconces that just look so cool in here. They, of course, are dimmable. They have a really cool effect. We have the secondary bathroom. Into the hallways with the small sconce. The primary bath, lights on either side of the mirror. That's the mirror in the boxes there. There's light and fan. And on this side will be the laundry. In the studio, where we're staging all the empty boxes to go home, we have one of those big wall sconces on one wall and on the other wall. The paint really absorbs the light in this room, but it's fantastic. And then we'll go into the primary bedroom. In that dark corner will be a floor lamp. And we have 2 downlights for the closet area. One big wall wash just to create gentle ambiance in the room. And on either side of the bed is a switch and what is going to be reading lights. So that's it. This is what it'll look like and feel like at night. Quite fun. So that's all for this episode of Redstart Cabin. Cabin's all locked up. The shutters are down. I'm heading out of here. For the first time ever, it's really pretty protected from wildfires. And I'll be back in 2 weeks where we're going to get the first delivery, a small test order of cabinets. We're going to be putting in some more finished plumbing work. We're going to get started on the radiant system, and we're going to do fine tuning on the electrical stuff that we installed this week. Oh, and add Ethernet up here at the cabin instead of just down below. So that's it, and thanks for watching.